You ready? Okay. I'd like to call to order tonight's study session for Thursday, November 2nd. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Amen. Okay. Mike, if you would, roll call.
Barb Tuesley,
Present.
Mike Moffitt,
Here.
and Dave Beesholm.
Present.
And then Cindy Suze is absent.
Okay. Item 4, study session business topics. Well, we're here tonight specifically to talk with girls softball as far as their lease agreement goes. We found some technicality, as we've discussed before, in the contract. So part of that was the reason that we get this thing started. And tonight we're here to kind of hash out what we think should be the best way to move forward. The board here is going to basically hear what you guys got to say. We're going to hear what our legal or our superintendent and recreation developer has to say. And I don't think anything gets rectified here because we're not going to sit here and write a legal document tonight, but we're going to get there eventually. But this is an opportunity for everybody to kind of speak their mind. Okay? Sure. Let's start with Parks. If you guys have an opening statement that we can go with, and then we'll let them kind of have an opening statement.
Yeah, sure. So what we were kind of looking at too is just to start off with to figure out that could work for both of us and stuff like that. I know you guys do a lot, obviously, with for the girls and do a lot with the fields and do everything over for the softball organization and stuff like that. But we were also looking to see different ways that could kind of benefit both sides and stuff like that, rather being having like us be able to use some of the fields at times for events or programs and such. We wanted to talk about like the water, and I want to talk about electric, for example. And again, I know you guys do a lot of work as there is, and I think this past year has been pretty good as far as working with you guys and stuff. We were able to try to do a few smaller type improvements, I would say, more than anything else, which is good. I know in the past, even myself talking with other people here as well too, is people would ask me what was going on with girls softball, or can we get into this building, or can we get into concession stand, like for instance, and stuff like that. Again, I know it's stuff that you guys have and stuff, but this was kind of the first year we've been able to get not access or anything like that, but being able to take in the plumbers when they go in there and stuff like that. And so it wasn't necessarily trying to hound each other, kind of back and forth.
Just real quick,
Yeah.
On that, since we had that lease and we had the building built there, Chip was the park board, was he director?
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Director. And as things happen and the board changes and different people come in, they've always had a key, and sometimes they misplace a key, and it'll be like 2 or 3 years later, hey, we can't find the key, can't give it to us, but the town and the park board, the water, for everything, they have full access to that building. And then part of the contract too was that the town, we understood that as long as our fields were not being used, the town can use it for events of, for 4th of July and things like that. So, I don't know, I came in a little late, but the town, and it was always understood that they have a key in reference to water or anything that may happen, or do some work, because anything that's built there belongs then to the town, regardless if we pay
Right.
for it or anything like that.
Right.
As far as that schedule goes, I think, that's part of the agreement where
That
we
too.
send you guys a schedule so you guys are kind of aware of what we have going on with games and tournaments
Sure.
and stuff.
And actually, I know you did that this year. I don't know if it was. I don't know if they had ever. People were telling me before that they didn't have anything before, regardless if it was sent or not, or
We did it, just
if it
again,
was.
over time,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
we dropped the
Yeah.
ball on that.
Yeah.
And the schedule was always turned in the beginning of the season, all the way to, pretty much filled up all the way till fall ball.
Yeah, yeah. Even, I think it says in there too, like insurance too, you know, being able to send the certificate of insurance, so we have it. The use of fields, obviously, it's up, again, you know, we had the 4th of July thing, like for the Freedom Fest, you know, with Pat and stuff like that, we've been working on trying to do some other things out there too, like this, you know, this past year, we were able to use Heartland.
In the park one night.
Movie night, correct, yeah, we did that, and that was we kind of scheduled it, and then we were kind of working it backwards to seeing how it could work and stuff like that. So those are the types of things too, and now getting that schedule obviously earlier and stuff like that, you know, I think that's what I want to do is try to, you know, work on those items too, that we can try to, you know, work together closely on to being able to do some of those, you know, movie nights and some other things that we're planning on doing and stuff.
Was there things this year, things that you guys are planning in '24 and beyond that would hinder the events based on the schedule that that you could think of, or?
No, I mean, no, I mean, I know we would like to use, you know, just the park in general, you know, a little bit more and stuff like that. And again, I know you guys, we have your stuff and stuff like that,
Remember,
so.
the lease is only is the building and the 4 fields.
The Cloverleaf.
The Cloverleaf, yeah. Everything else, the batting cages, the field 5, the T-ball field, all that green space. We're just the part where we invest a lot of money in, which is a concession stand. We built the sheds out there, and the upkeep that we invest in a lot of the fields, field 1, 2, 3, and 4, the gated area. That's the only thing in reference to the park or the fields that we have the lease for.
But no, going back, yeah. So going back to your question, no, I mean, nothing this year and stuff like that. You know, besides working with you with the movie that we had and stuff like that. So, yeah, we were, you know, in the future we'd like to see, you know, do more. We'd like even doing like camps and stuff like that, or programs and stuff like that. You know, we had an idea of trying to. And I don't know if you guys if you do like softball related, you know,
Clinics
girls
and things
softball
like
clinics
that.
and stuff like that. You know, we tried doing one this summer over here for Civic Park, and it was, you know, okay and stuff like that. But, either, you know, doing something that's, you know, town related programming or, you know, Parks and Rec related programming and stuff that would allow, you know, just a, example, I know like the boys and stuff, like they have run in like the White Sox, for instance, but like that stuff I think like the town should be doing and stuff. Obviously, you know, that's a different subject and stuff like that, but doing something, similar where we can do stuff during the daytime and stuff like that. Not in trying to interfere with anything, weeknights and stuff when you would have, you know, most of your league play going on and
Yeah, that's typically weekdays. Practices are typically weekdays at night, and then games are typically carried out on Saturdays. And then tournaments will a couple tournaments here run Friday, Saturday, then sometimes into Sunday.
Yeah.
So those fields are typically available every day, all day, Monday through Friday for sure. And then sometimes on the weekends as well when there's not.
Depending on what you have going on.
Well, I think that's, if I may, that's something that we really want to make sure we're putting in detail in this agreement. Less of the ambiguity, he said, she said, and more of
I think that
like
is
what
in
like
there in the lease. It says there that the town will have access to those fields for any events that the town may want to use it for, so long as that we don't, because that's why we have to turn in the schedule, so long
Sure.
as it doesn't conflict with our our league games and things that are going on, practices, league games, events. But it's in there that says that you don't need the permission. You have the schedule and it's open, and we just pretty much get a heads up. Because we know we have certain days open, and we may say we want to do something that day, but we're not, and it's open for the town, for the
sure,
park board.
sure, no, and that's
Schedule this
just
Oh,
making.
we did, yeah. So this year we did get a
No,
schedule.
I'm saying like back in like January.
I think February, March. It's when I got it.
We don't have the schedule until, I'm the one that does the schedule. We don't.
After signups.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
You know how many
Yeah.
teams are there, and then the schedule is done. So the schedule will probably be done by like March early April.
And we're gonna try and move it up this year registration, so
Sure.
we're thinking March.
And now, like, even on the schedule, you guys have like built-in rain dates, I would
Mm-hmm.
I would
Yeah, we do
assume,
blackout
and stuff
dates, yeah.
like that for rain.
And from the moment school is out, I mean, we could use more fields.
Oh,
right?
sure.
Well, I mean, they're literally booked
Yeah,
from practice and.
It's a good problem to have. It's
It
full.
is.
It's been
We've had-
full. It's been good.
Yeah, I think
We've
like
had
we
full
discussed, the
seasons.
town is growing very, very fast, unlike any other jurisdiction, because they're landlocked. But St. John is growing very fast. We're getting a lot of children, boys and girls, on both sides. I'm sure other sports, extracurricular activity, things that are going on in town, it's increasing too. Soccer, and other sports. But we are seeing an increase here for St. John girls softball. You get a lot of young families coming in here, and this is where
Sure.
they want to settle down.
Sure.
Good schools, good parks, public safety. So we need, since a long time ago, we need more fields. But that's something that we've been discussing with different town board members, different park board members, as time's been going on.
Sure.
Ideas of, the pipeline property that I've been talking to I mean, that would be perfect right there, but that pipeline's gonna cost a lot of money to increase the pipe there. Or else they would've said they would've donated the money, or the land, which they did half of it, because if I'm not mistaken, the park board owns part of it and the town owns the other part.
What you play on, the park board does.
What's that?
What you play on, the park, those fields.
So all four
I'm
fields?
sorry, those are town owned.
Yeah.
The
No,
softball
park-
fields are town.
No, it's.
Park owned.
Right.
Park owned, yeah.
Park, yeah,
I'm sorry, they're on east, right?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
So-
town owned, or
so-
the park owns.
right, but but my understanding is the St. John Girls Softball League fields are on the park board side.
Correct.
Correct, that's what I'm saying,
Yes,
that's the
That's
side.
technically Heartland Park.
Right, yes, and then the rest is so, anyway, we were looking to try to do that, and there's been issues with the pipeline there and how far you have to be from that pipeline. And then talks about down, just south of us, where there's a little strip of unincorporated, that gentleman that lives there. And then the rest down on that, I don't know if it's still in a trust fund, parcels there, going down to 109th. To try to make a park. We've been told so many different things in the 21 years I've been there, and, this is what we have planned, this is what we have planned. Out there off of Klein Avenue, or is it Blaine Street, somewhere there? I guess Lake Central owns that property.
Oh, yeah.
So, we've just been bouncing around where we can go. Then some idea came out, well, we'll build, the boys have this, and we'll build you something else and have the boys take over the girls. But that is not convenient for parents to have a daughter and a son. One side of the town, and my daughter's on the other side of the town. We have always said we want to keep things together, so we're in one spot, boys and girls, So, I don't know what the plan is for the future again, as far as for parks or more fields. But that's something that's an issue for us. I know we're going off track a little bit with the contract and the lease, but I guess what we're looking at is just a proposal and see what we're losing compared to, the current lease that we have, that you say it's not valid.
Well, the one,
Because we don't want to lose what we have now.
Right, right.
It's been working for the last 12 years. So I guess, is there going to be a proposal lease of what, or is it going to be cleaning it up to make sure that it's legal and done right? But I know you're looking for a little bit changes, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely cleaned up, so it's done the right way and stuff like that, and so you guys are able to obviously do what you need to do with the girls softball and not necessarily lose anything on that end and stuff like that. Like I brought up like the electric and the water and stuff like that. Like that's one thing I think in the lease right now, right? It says that pretty much the town pays for all that stuff, electric and water and stuff like that. I don't know necessarily exactly what you guys have put in, as far as field wise and stuff like that, and as far as material and
Billions.
Yeah.
Nicole,
I mean, but just trying to clean up some of that stuff because, like, for one instance, I know, like, that we pay whatever the fees are and stuff like that. Obviously, from a town standpoint, like the lights, just for them to go on that one, from the town standpoint, we just pay it out, right, basically, or the parks pay it out, basically, not necessarily the town side, but the parks just pay it out, and there's necessarily not besides looking back at what it was last year and just kind of get an idea of, okay, we're going to appropriate this, and try to be somewhat close. Now, it could be lower, it could be less or higher and stuff like that, depending on how the lights, how much they're used and stuff like that. Which, those would be some of the more smaller changes that we were going to look at and stuff like that, about making that a little more, either a little more equal, or seeing how we could offset some of those costs and stuff. I don't have this. I have some of the water costs here and stuff like that, which isn't really a whole lot and stuff like that. But
Did I have it wrong when we met last? Because I thought you guys were going to propose us some type of language that we could review and then come here and kind of like discuss. Did I get that wrong?
Well, I wanted to ask you, Nicole, what, you sent us this agreement from what I believe is,
That's from baseball.
this is baseball.
That's a draft of what Crown Point uses in baseball for rental of fields.
Gotcha.
So that came from Alex Kutnowski, who is,
I apologize. Okay.
yeah, which obviously is, because I think that's where we kind of need to back up a little bit and maybe not talk so global as what is, who's paying for what currently, so that everybody's on the same page. I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding about what the actual lease says. For example, the lease doesn't identify property. It says Heartland Park, period. It doesn't say which fields, it doesn't say what you can use, it doesn't say, anything. So there's like so many like global issues that really need to be narrowed in on. And so if it's an issue of, right, my understanding is, I just learned not too long ago that you share the T-ball field. So that's got to be written in there, right? Things like that, because otherwise.
That's not part of the lease, though. That's open to the public.
But that's what needs to be, that's the
stuff.
language that we need
If
to
you want a
be.
right to these things if that's the discussion, the place that the board goes to, that you actually want to use that, and it's not something that otherwise the town's going to schedule for other teams to be on, then we want to make sure that you have that, so that that's protected for your scheduling purposes. Because the
I
lease
thought
just
it is identify which fields they are.
No, it says Heartland Park.
The problem,
Heartland Park.
That's
reading
it.
through the whole
Premises
thing?
is Heartland Park with the incorrect address.
Is it the 106, 106?
196.
00?
It's
19600,
Yeah, White Oak Drive.
which isn't even the address. St. John, blah, 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 also known as Heartland Park, here and after the premises.
So would it make sense for you guys to get kind of what you guys are thinking over to us for us to review? Then, because otherwise, maybe we're just
Well, it's
spinning
a
our wheels.
discussion, though,
Well,
of
that's-
what
and that-
you're
yeah.
paying for, what those costs are, what.
But that's where we can come in with, if we had that, we can come in with yearly on what we've been spending on. The loan that we took out of, I think it was Midwest or.
No, I think we're
Bank.
talking more, Sheriff, about the, like, actual day-to-day expenses.
You're looking for the day-to-day, right, so that'll be
The
throughout
maintenance
the year.
stuff of what, right, is, whether it's field maintenance, right, and please jump in, help me on these things in the sense
Well,
of
you have to count in the
fertilizer.
building because we just paid it off last year.
Last year.
That's a structure, that's a fixture that is now under.
It's an investment for us, though, that the town's gonna keep for some reason if we ever get moved. We don't get that money back.
No, with all due respect, you haven't paid rent for all these years either. That's the bargaining back and forth, right?
Well,
Is
we're a
that was the
not-for-profit
investment put in there.
organization, so it's like the town working with the
I understand,
non-profit organization.
and that's why I'm not splitting hairs on that old stuff
Right.
we're going through. That's what I'm saying. That's not the path I'm trying to go down. It's the act of, here we are moving forward. What's the plan then on who pays for what, how much certain things are, so that then the town can come to some conclusions about what they want to put forth in a proposal. If Mike doesn't even have that information, then it makes it difficult to be able to propose something. Because part of it is where the town's in the dark of what those expenses are.
Our intention is never to keep it in the dark.
Absolutely. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to get to where we need to get to
Correct.
instead of talking globally and like more theoretically about everybody's feelings.
Right.
No offense.
Well, one thing for
Let's
sure,
cut to the chase.
Water and the lights are paid by the town, so I like to know what that cost is. I don't know what it is. And while we work with, on what our investment and expenditures.
And that's a fair thing you need to know. Because whatever is being, whatever it comes down to, what is that cost that is attributed to those fields for electricity and water? Yeah, you need to know that. And, what it is that you guys are paying for, because you pay for the fertilizer, you pay for the maintenance, you pay for that.
Cutting the grass.
Like
the
what
garbage.
that is for hours, service, dollars, those are, so it's all that kind of identifying those things that need to be shared, need to be exchanged, because otherwise we're kind of all just throwing things in the air, not really knowing what the expenses are. And trying to look at it as setting up a lease for moving forward, so that everybody's, has their interest protected, so that it's not, if the idea is what you're scheduling and what you want, and you're putting out a schedule on those fields, then that's what the accommodation under the lease then would be, or a field rental, whatever, however it is that they decide that they want to do this, but that it's then what you want and what,
Exactly.
where it's not kind of a crapshoot of is it available or is it not kind of a thing.
Right.
So,
Yeah, because
what you have for dollars or what you have, either with you or can provide, that's like those hard costs so that everybody's
Yeah,
understanding
we've
what
never
those
been asked, we could
expenses
totally
are.
provide that to you. Our treasurer who's not here, he tracks all that, so
Perfect.
not a problem.
yeah, like the water wasn't. What I calculated wasn't all that much on here. The electric, I don't
Have a
have it
number?
necessarily. What I have here for water was actually like $374.99.
Or,
For it just says girls softball.
but a month,
Yeah, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The monthly bill here was $38.13 here, 1, 2, 3, 5 times here. And I guess what,
they're so nominal. That's great, but why is it so
yeah,
nominal?
that's what I
Because
don't know
the
that.
sprinklers go off of a well.
Because you what,
Well,
I'm sorry?
that would make sense,
The
yeah.
sprinklers go off of a well, so you're only really using the bathroom, which is,
Oh, nice.
Concession stand, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
which that actually would make sense then, because when I was calculating all this today, I was like, that's
Trying to figure out why that, because why is that so low? That's
kind of
fabulous.
low and stuff
did you
like
say you had
that.
a number on electric or no? You were waiting.
I was gathering it. I didn't. I
What's an
don't.
average cost on that?
Let me. I could email that out to everyone for that, because I don't have all the electric bills, or I don't. All the water bills usually come to me and I sign off on the electric bills. I don't always get those and stuff like that. So, I know, well, I'll get those ones. So I'm not just saying some false information and stuff like that, but I'll gather on those. And also kind of spelling certain things out too. What I was kind of looking for, I think would be good, like for the park system in general, was just so, because even I got here, asking, well, who controls what and stuff, and it was like, okay, well, the softball group would control everything in the inside, the playing fields, and then everyone does everything else. The parks would do everything else, or town would do everything else. But like the fences, for instance, is that in the field or out of the field and stuff like that.
The
Kind of.
fences, well, it's part of the field that it's on upkeep, but of course,
Yeah,
every now
yeah,
and then we
yeah.
may come to the town, hey, can you help us out?
No, and that's fine, and that's fine and stuff like that. But that's why as far as kind of spelling it out a little bit clearer, so when people in the future know, this is what you guys are responsible for, this is what we're going to be responsible for, and just moving forward. So in 15 years, if there's new people doing this, then it kind of just it isn't as confusing, I would say and stuff. So.
So we want to go into a 25-year agreement, is that correct with this from?
It's way out
I was
still
going to
there.
say,
Getting-
let's
that's
not
way
get
out
into
into
those
what's gonna
details
happen once
just
we gotta
yet.
figure out what the
I'm
terms
kind of
are
new
here,
on
or
this
what the
board
intention
for
is.
This year, so I have faintest idea what anybody's talking about at the.
You have anything to add, Pat?
Well, as we're going through this, one of the things that I know Nicole has touched upon and said over and over, I understand what has been sort of agreed upon and in a what I would call a gentleman's handshake type of situation, but that is what we want to, and hopefully make sure, and as Mike said, we put it into writing so there's no gray area, there's no ambiguity, there's no, whenever there's new people coming in there's not as many questions. So you know, I don't think that any of us here sitting here today are acting in malice or selfishly and or don't have the town's best interest in mind. That's not what I would say is happening here. I think everybody here does have the town's best interest in mind, does have the kids and the athletes' best interest in mind. That's just what we need to make sure we are clear about in our contracts.
Mike, you got any questions?
I don't know why we're trying to change the whole thing that's been working almost perfectly for many years. We found some little mistakes. Why don't we fix those little mistakes and trying to come in here and just trying to blow this whole thing out of the water? I don't know what these.
I don't understand what
I
you
don't-
say by when you say we're blowing things out of the water. We're one of two
We're
things.
trying to change everything
Hold on.
from top
We're
to down.
we're not. We haven't changed a thing yet. First off, we found out that this is an illegal. I shouldn't say illegal. That's not. Hold on, please. It's a invalid contract. So we as a town are highly, highly, highly at risk. That's
What are you highly at risk for?
Liability.
liability.
For what? I mean,
Anybody that gets hurt out
that's
there,
how,
and
each league has their own insurance. They have proof of that insurance.
There's no
the day they-
binding
That
anything if
i-
we don't have a valid contract.
thank you.
They may have insurance, but there's no
But I'm saying,
obligation
why
that
don't
they
we
have
fix
to.
the little things that aren't?
Well,
That's what
the
we're
little
trying to
things are
do.
something
That's
as
what we're
simple as
trying to do.
identifying
When this
the
field's not being
property.
used, we want to start renting these out to everybody. We want to rent this out. to
Nobody's
everybody. We wanna
talking
make
about
money off of
renting
that.
anything
I agree
out.
with the lights in the water. I do agree. That should be a
But I
little
think
more
that's the
equal.
point, is we kind of, that's my point earlier, is instead of this global, like,
M-
discussion, we need to cut to the chase of what are those things.
Yeah, maybe I was
'Cause
maybe I'm mistaken, and I truly don't want you to think that I'm trying to blow anything out of the water. I want to keep
It's for
as
everybody's
is
protection.
as much as possible, absolutely as much as possible. Like Mike said, if we can get a little bit more covered, like softball taking on the lights, like softball taking on the gas and electric, that would be nice. If we could have in the agreement, Parks and Recreation has 2 weekends in that March to October time period where we can utilize those. And obviously going through with the schedule, having your schedule and talking and coordinating with you, yes, absolutely doing that. We're not trying to blow anything out of the water. We're trying to keep this as is, but what we're trying to do is protect the town absolutely and fully. And then, yes, if there is a situation where we can work in accordance, let's do that.
But you're making it sound like everything's a handshaking agreement. It's like a lot of that's
It
black
does
and white.
need, it
A lot of that says
absolutely
who has
does
the inside
need
the
to
fields.
be.
I know back when
It doesn't say that, though. None of that is in this
And
contract.
I know in the boys it says inside the fenced areas. Everything outside is the town's responsibility. That's in there. I've seen that a few
This,
times.
this is
I
the
read that a few
agreement, Mike.
times.
They
It
copied
doesn't
ours.
even identify fields. So where's the
Or
fence?
it's going on. That's because you're saying one's not you, but the argument is some of that's Saddle Creek, and some of it's Silverleaf.
No,
and
no,
some
no.
of
I'm
Read-
talking
read
about the
this.
softball lease right now, for, like, to hear what you're saying, and I think that's great. I look at it this as that, all right, then let's identify this so we can document it, of what it is. Because when it just says Heartland Park, there's not even
It
a,
doesn't say something within the,
not
fenced
to
in
identify
area?
the premises, not to identify what
But
your
there
lease
is though, but
area
that's where I
is.
get confused a
In the
little bit.
back.
There is something
Just keep
though
going
that says
around.
within
Gotta
the
go all the way
fenced-in
around.
area.
Right, okay.
I'm sorry, Sheriff, what?
But there is something in there that says something about the fenced-in area of the infield. I know, I
Yeah, no,
remember
there
that
is.
somehow.
It's, yes. But my point is that and because the boys says the same thing.
Where
The
they
boys
copied
contract
ours.
mirror, yes, right, so 4 years later it mirrored. So when it's just globally saying Heartland Park, other than the fact that, right, the ones are designated softball, the ones are designated baseball, but then you've got, right, the Babe Ruth field, you've got the T-ball field, whatever, and where the fences hit with that, and that's the, who covers what, who has the authority to be where, and all of that. And so that's what the point is of, what is that? So that then we can document that accordingly, identify what it is. And that's where I had said before of not getting married to the current contract, because I think that everybody's stuck on those terms instead of you know, just redefining what they are. Can all have the same outcome or the same meaning, if you will, but, you know, for what those exactly are. And I apologize, I've not been to the park to know, is the fencing, is the T-ball field inside the fencing?
No, we've never intended to try to, the only thing we wanted to lease and have full control of, our biggest investment was Field 1, 2, and 3. They're fenced in. So we're able to lock it and we're able.
And 4.
That's what I said. I didn't
Which
say
is
4.
4 then?
1, 2, 3, 4, yes.
Okay, all 4.
I'm
Okay,
sorry,
something,
I
there's
forgot
4
4.
there, so
There's
that's why I
4,
thought-
1, 2, 3,
Okay.
and 4.
In the sheds and garages that are
Yeah, so that's where we put a lot of money in, and we say that, when we say renting it, it's more or less a donation from other organizations that may not be from this town that say, hey, listen, we're looking to practice for 2 hours. No problem. Everything that we put on these fields, we put money into it. Everything you're gonna destroy, mess up again, we gotta clean it up, we gotta fix it up. So we charge, and I think we looked somewhere in Sherville, what's the average fee that people are charging? We don't wanna go way over or anything, so we charge, for 2 hours, they get to use the fields, use our equipment, our bases, and things like that, our pinching machine if they want, that we paid for.
Again,
So when they're done, that's what it was not for a profit, it's just a donation for us to make sure we have money to fix up the fields afterwards. So when I say that, we didn't look at the T-ball, Field 5 and T-ball that the boys and St. John both invested in, and we shared between each other. One of the questions that the town brought up is like, well, how about the public? What are they gonna use? And that's what we said. We still have 2 fields that they can use, open green space, the batting cages. We're talking about the 4 fields here that's locked up that we're leasing, and the buildings that St. John Girls Softball invested in, and that cost us a lot of money. So we turn in the schedule, and it'll show either on the boys' side or on the girls' side. Fall ball is usually Field 5 for us. Boys will take it during spring, but that will be at least on the schedule. But it's not one of those, when we say we don't want it as part of the lease, that if it's not being used, they don't need, the public doesn't need to call anybody or any, hey, St. John, can we use it? No, if they're open, they're not being used, they're open. You know, so it's for, you know, little Susie and their dad to go out there and toss and pitch and play, you know.
Those-
Run their dogs, that was another big deal. You
Yeah.
know, when you have their dogs running in our fields and it, you know,
Messes
uses
up
the
the grass.
bathroom there. Well, not just that, we don't get to see in the outfield with the grass.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a poop in the infield, you can see that, but in the outfield, you know, people used to walk their dogs and cut them loose in there, you know?
So the
Now, I agree with what she said, though. I like it even better that, okay, let's include it in part of the lease. Pretty much just saying, hey, during the season, these belong to ours, but when they're not being used, you can use them, and we're not gonna look towards renting them or getting a donation. We're fine with that, but the main cost is the 4 fields, which we do wanna lock up because it's fully fenced. The other 2 are not. T-ball and Field 5 are not fenced up.
I don't
and
think,
those
Is Field 5 Babe Ruth?
No,
No,
field, that's
no,
totally
no.
different. Babe
Field
Ruth is
5.
called, Babe Ruth is
There's-
right
there should
on
be
a
one
White
that,
Oak. Soon as you, Field 5 is right
One
by
right
the
next-
playground.
I don't think it's on the map.
It doesn't show it all on here.
Right by the playground. Playground's right there.
I
So
don't
the-
think anybody's
I thought that was
trying
T-ball.
to.
No, well, for boys it's T-ball, for us it's Field 5. Our T-ball is further up north,
Is your T-ball within the 4 fields?
next to it,
So it's outside,
outside,
Field 2.
and that's outside.
outside the fence.
There's no fence on either one of those.
Correct.
Right.
So so you call that's other field, Field 2, and then you do,
No, we called let me see what you have there real quick. Sorry. I'm
Nope,
getting
you're
to that
fine.
age that-
I'm just trying to understand, that's T-ball, right?
let me see where's north at? I'm trying to see, where's the boys field? This is,
Here's boys.
no, this is boys, this is
Yeah,
girls.
this is girls.
So,
So this is T-ball.
no, for us, this is field, for girls, when you talk about girls, this is Field 5.
Okay, what's this?
Right here, this is open space, that's T-ball for us.
That's your T-ball.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's for fall ball. During spring, we use our T-ball fields, and this is all fenced in, these 4. These are open. People walk in and out, they can do what they want. But the
And
term.
this is fenced and gated
Yeah,
and
all
locked,
this,
right?
all this is lock gated.
Okay.
This is our big concession stand.
Yep.
And we have our old concession stand here, and then our
Is it inside the
shed.
fence?
No,
Is the shed inside the fence?
no,
Okay.
and neither is this, the big concession stand that we built that we
Not
took
right
over
away.
before.
That's
But
not
It's
in
the
the
gray
fence?
and the beard. that
that's
kinda
not
fooled
inside
me.
the fence.
It's-
Does
I'm
each
thinking-
field
There's
has its own
baby
fence.
face,
fence.
whatever.
Yeah, like
Okay.
the
I'm
separate
thinking it's a
fencing.
round square. Okay,
Nope,
got it.
separate fencing.
Got it.
Separate fencing.
Okay.
But that's why we included the fenced-in area of the fields here and
Wasn't
1, 2,
a
3,
responsible
these 3
adolescent
sheds.
either.
There's 3?
Yeah. Our old concession stand, it's a shed.
Questionable as an adult.
One that we took the money out,
Okay.
yeah.
Jury's
is
still out.
the concession stand, and this is a shed that we built also.
No, he's been coaching my girls band for 4 or
That's what
5
he
years.
said.
Yeah.
We talked out in the parking lot.
It's pretty sweet,
In here.
yeah.
So-
That helps me.
Fantastic.
know.
Yeah, so these are.
Good to see
actual
what goes
structures
around comes
built,
around.
not-
Yeah, right?
I tell them all the time, I go, I
They're not in
coach
the
because
fence,
I
so
had
the contract
coaches.
says
Right.
within
No,
one.
that's part of it.
Field 1,
It really
2,
is.
3, and 4.
That's what he says. I don't have a dad,
fenced-in
but I had
area
coaches
that
my
we
whole
get
life.
to rent out and
I'm just glad
lock
somebody's
up.
doing something
And the
for
lease says
girls,
that we have these
personally.
two
Yeah.
buildings
That's even
here
better, right?
Should
as
said that,
control.
because
tried it for one
there's
year, didn't
no
work out.
identifiable
No.
field in here, which has been part of the.
Yeah.
But see,
Yeah, that
this,
helps me a ton.
this right here, we really didn't
When I was
care
in high
about,
school,
you know,
I
it
could
was
run
this,
faster
because
than
we put a
any
lot of
other
money in.
girl
Off-season, or if somebody wanna
Really?
use it,
that
you
was
don't even
worth
have to pay for
absolutely
it.
nothing.
As long as they're talking.
They're all locked.
How many
1, 2,
girls are
3.
in the
No,
program
in
currently?
these, in the.
Every
Approximately.
and the sheds,
They're
yeah.
locked too.
They're
450.
locked, and technically the
that
town.
They're
and the-
actually
Bigger
Or is
than
it
boys
one season?
baseball?
supposed to have
You guys do
these.
2 seasons or you do
all-
one?
every
But they
shot
are-
I don't know
is
boys'
every
baseball
ball.
numbers. I'm sorry, I don't know them.
Boys baseball's like.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
not-
that helps me.
I mean, not that they haven't had it before.
But you
it's
said
like-
that during fall
We drop
ball, you
off,
used field
But we
5.
gain.
During
Only
fall
during
ball
the
is
spring and
because they
summer
don't
is
have a
T-ball.
fall.
The
League.
boys
So
in
we
fall
gain
ball call
from
this,
Cherville
they just
Dyer.
use it for
Okay,
whatever.
so
A fall
your
ball, we use
fall
this as our
league is
T-ball
kind of an
field,
open-ender?
'cause It's a much larger
Okay,
number that
cool.
we have.
Yeah, we
Do
do
they use it in the
spring,
spring?
cut it off for about 3 weeks,
Do the
then we
boys
start
use it in
fall,
the spring?
spring,
Boys
typically
use it
get a
in the
bigger
spring.
turnout, we get about
Okay,
a
do the boys
350
use
mark,
it?
400 sometimes.
Practice.
Only, but yeah, when
I'm
they
just trying to
need
put
it,
numbers
yeah.
together.
Do you
And in
schedule
July, is
Fall is
all
how many?
Spring we do.
by
Okay.
All-Star.
In the spring we do.
In the fall here.
Practice.
Yes,
all
because
practice
we're
is
much,
All-Star.
much
Now,
bigger
in the-
league in the fall.
In the
Got it.
fall, do you guys
Do you guys, so you
sublease?
don't do like maintenance on?
We
We
do
never
maintenance.
sublease
Oh, yes,
ever.
We do a lot.
And we stray away from
between the
renting.
boys
Our
and-
rent was
and-
pretty
and-
cheap,
and the
50 bucks
girls,
for an hour.
We kind of just both.
Because we have so
put
much
a lot of
girls,
money
we're like, hey, let's
investment,
bump it
we'll
up to
get
200 to
good
try to
money.
deter
Truckloads of
people.
gravel.
Do you
And
guys
it deterred them.
Sure,
do
sure.
run
sure.
tournaments?
Because you got to upkeep all
And that would be my question, because the $50, then we have to go out, they don't rake the fields, they don't clean the fields, right?
Right.
We have
No,
to go
no,
back
I-
and do that, and it's not even worth it.
So we did just host
kinda
last
monitor
weekend,
them by the
our
playground,
first
like,
ever
hey, we put this much in.
non-sanctioned
playground?
tournament that we did with Highland and
Playground is
Munster.
right.
Here?
We had, it was a Halloween
Sorry.
boo bash, great turnout.
Is this the
From what I
playground?
can see, yeah,
Wasn't a
that's the
moneymaker, did it
playground.
to break
So you
even
call
with
the
the
one by the
umps.
playground, that's when you're
And
talking
we'll probably
five.
do that again next year. I
The
think it's a really
girls,
good
we
exposure
call
for
that
the
five.
town.
The
Boys
boys
call it
will
two.
call it
Towns start
T-ball.
Got it,
talking.
that's what I'm
you know,
marking this
so
as, okay.
We tried it this year, worked out well. We had a good turnout. The weather held out, so we'll probably try it again. But we don't have enough time usually to host bigger tournaments. But with something that we do talk about at board a lot. is
We
trying to
always
that.
do because we're a premier softball league, and when you have other towns hosting big tournaments, I think that's great. It's good investment for the town. People come in, they go to the local restaurants when we're hosting a weekend tournament. So, but with Four Fields, we just can't do that.
Well,
you know?
the reason I'm asking about numbers and subleasing and stuff like that, just in looking over, and I am not a lawyer, okay, but just in looking over the agreements when it was first brought to me, I think if we're gonna even go down the road of subleasing, needs to be a partnership, okay? Whether you guys set it up and say, hey, Park District, we would like to have some sort of a say in who them people are.
Yeah, we don't have any intentions on subleasing. Now renting, sure.
Renting, yeah,
Well, okay,
subleasing
but,
is different.
well, but
But
see,
that's
that-
what the boys are doing.
That's part,
That's
part of it.
different what we're doing.
I understand, but that's.
But you're
where-
looking at all of it, right, Dave? You're looking at it as anybody else using.
Correct.
Whether you want to call it renting, leasing, anybody other than girls softball.
Right. So if you guys use it 60% of the time and it's available 40% of the time, then who controls that? I would much rather, if you guys are involved, that we have some sort of involvement too, so that we can, for whether it's liability, whether it's professional standards. I mean, we don't need, some girls / co-ed team out there practicing, renting the field, bringing their coolers with, and creating. We'd like to be in the loop, so
Yeah,
to
well,
speak.
well, number one, I think it's, that's part of in the lease, that no alcohol can be
Right.
allowed. It's a part of our bylaws and constitution of the St. John Girls Softball League. No alcohol is involved, so it's in the lease and our constitution and bylaws. And I totally understand, but again, when we're looking and investing into these fields and putting in a lot of money into it, we're asking for a little little bit of money more of a donation because we're not-for-profit. This is how we get to fix the fields and add more gravel. So when we're not using it and a team wants to come in, it's a great, the way I look at it was it's a great fundraiser for us.
Right.
It's so hard to get volunteers to have a fundraising committee. So doing that, bringing in a little bit extra money that can go in to sustain our league, it's a good thing. We're not here to make money. 'Cause
No,
that's not
totally
what we do.
understand. But see, here's part of what we talked about too, and I just want to be upfront about it. The longer the lease goes, the more opportunity for subleasing, travel, all that kind of stuff, okay? Part of what brought this whole thing to light was some things that happened this year with boys that threw I don't want to say monkey wrench, but opened some eyes. And like, how is this happening? Why is this happening? How could this happen? And then you start looking at paperwork and you're like, well, it doesn't really say they can't. So I guess if no one says anything, just go ahead. So that was part of it, okay? I think, and I talked to Ryan earlier this year, we talked about a partnership. I proposed some ideas and we fixed some things that needed to be addressed, and we're going to continue to do that because it is a partnership, okay? At the same time, with that, if we're leasing it for nothing, okay, then I think we should not incur as a parks department any costs, okay? If that is what's happening, okay? If we have to actually go down into the negative so that you can run your program, that doesn't work.
I think the cost is minimal, though.
I don't know. These are some
Me
of,
just guessing in my numbers and looking at what we.
so if it's
part of this
minimal,
For
then
a
it-
long time, I don't think is that much.
If it's
Which
minimal,
I
it
think
should be a
It was a
problem.
discussion
What's
when
minimal?
we first started, like water and things that what we asked for the town to do, which we take up a big burden and a lot more
understand.
responsibility to make, because we're proud of our league. We
Okay.
represent our town, and it's something we take pride in, and we want.
So-
that's why we
so-
rarely rent our fields out because we don't want other people coming in from different areas just
I understand.
to tear it up.
So let me ask you this. Should the Parks and Recreation Department, which is servicing the entire town of St. John, take on a cost like that and operate in the deficit when it comes to
Operate in the deficit?
St.
Is that
John's?
Let us know how much it costs
Yeah.
us.
Well, that's where we hold on. We're just
So when
hold
you
on.
talk about partnership, absolutely. We're a non-for-profit here working. We're all town residents. We're all doing this for our children here.
But this is what we need
And
to.
we work together with the town and say, guess what? You guys are putting in a lot of money on this and that. This is our part on what we're gonna do. And that's what when we were discussing, we'll cover the lights and the
Water.
and the water. Sometimes we
But
go
that's
to
what
the
we
town
have
for
to.
extra
That's
little
what we
help.
have to have in right. It
Yeah,
can't
and
just
this-
be.
these are some
it's
of the
not.
things
It's
we don't-
not.
That's what it is in writing.
It's not.
That's
Are you
not
sure
in
it's not?
writing.
It's in
Not.
writing, isn't it? And the contract of the utilities are not paying for any, that we didn't have to pay for if we wanted, for permits or anything like that?
Contract says that the town pays for all of that,
Right.
The town.
Yeah.
Not
not
parks.
softball, that the town does. Well, the
Yeah, but
town,
see,
I'm
that-
using town and
that's-
parks
that's-
Oh,
interchangeably.
yeah, right. It's
Consider
just-
town. When I
right,
say
because-
town, I
because
mean
everybody
parks.
signed off on it, the
You-
park
you know what
board
I'm saying?
and.
I understand that, but
But
here's
it is
electric.
here's my question.
Nominal.
Here's my question.
That's, between sanitation.
Check the box.
That's
Okay.
why I would.
Water and
you
electric.
brought this up was, if
We're
you're gonna
arguing- we
look
don't
at
have a real number,
parks
so we're arguing over
employees.
nothing.
I understand, but that's what I'm
to
saying.
work
This
on
is
the
the
inside of the
details that
field,
we need to put.
Now you're
it's-
talking
agree with you.
about
No one's not
$100,000
no one's not agreeing with you.
expense.
we,
Right.
but
Oh, yeah.
okay.
We agree
To
with
have
what you
them
just said, yes.
who don't know
Then
anything
we
about
need to
baseball,
have a new
softball, how to prepare
agreement.
the- you know
Oh, we
what I'm
agree,
saying?
we just wanted to see it.
So why are we
Yeah.
continuing
Oh, yeah.
saying
And
that
so
all
that's
the
what
I don't
we
think
did
you guys
when
wanna
the
keep
people
that, 'cause
first
we're all
started. We went to
volunteer.
our board and
For
said,
years.
this is
Oh, yeah,
what the
yeah.
town is
No,
recommending.
I
We
Ryan,
came
you
up
can
with our
say
own
that all you want,
recommendation.
but that's what he's saying.
And that's
Maybe
kind of,
hours in the
that's,
concessions.
that's kind of
This year.
where we're at now, okay?
The concession stand, you say?
I don't want this to be adversarial, okay? That's not our intention. Our intention here is to have a working agreement that both of us can live with and we can move forward. I will say this, it's not going to be 25 years. That I can guarantee. That'll never pass this board, okay? 10, 15 maybe, 25 is not going to happen. Our biggest issue, liability-wise, is you guys running your own concession stands without Lake County Board-approved food safety handlers.
So we don't run our own.
So we
outsource-
contract that
we
out.
contract
It's
it
a contract
to
that
someone
does
that's
everything.
Who is
insured,
licensed?
that,
In
that's
fact, they do Lake
licensed.
Central High School.
Okay,
do all
so
of it.
They gotta
that's
be
private.
honest.
Do
Yeah.
they, do they have that certification?
Yes.
Who
Okay.
is that?
Do you have
It's called
proof?
D's Eats.
D's Eats.
Okay.
DEEZ Eats.
They do Lake Central
Horrible
High
name.
School,
Okay.
they do,
That's-
sports and everything.
There again, that's something we
I was
need
going
to
with that.
have on file, okay? Because that's. a
We have it on.
And how does it work with them?
So they give us a portion of the proceeds that they earn. So we clip about 20 to 30% of the proceeds that they earn on top of, paying their staff and the food and stuff like that.
So otherwise, they come in and they front all of the costs?
Yeah, we give them our schedule, and I'm the one that runs the relationship, and pretty much, yeah, they have the schedule.
One of the things is that they use our stuff. So all the pans and everything that we bought as a town,
Yep.
which I do like in the jail, I provide everything. They're providing the service. They buy the food.
As I say, so they purchase all the
They purchase all
stuff.
the
Yeah.
stuff, but other you.
The popcorn,
refrigerators
the-
are all-
Refrigerators are all ours.
Refrigerators
Yeah.
is-
We
Okay.
bought all
We
that stuff.
repainted everything, cleaned
They're
everything
coming
up.
in to provide the service, but they purchase the food, they hire the employees, they pay the employees, profit at the end of
So
the
it's
season.
their employees?
Their employees.
And they give you liability insurance.
Yes, they have everything.
But see, these are some of the things
Yeah.
that we didn't know.
No one's ever asked.
I was gonna say,
And I'm,
Gotta
This
ask.
wasn't an issue until it was brought up like
gotta
because of
ask.
the boys, and I
Right.
get it, but we've been doing this almost 12 years, and it's been
I-
going perfect.
I
get it,
understand.
things are looked at and things are found, let's fix it, and I look at it, like I said the last time I was here, I think at the end of the day, we all want to work together.
I agree.
We're here for all the right reasons, is to provide something for these children that live here in St. John.
is there any part of this agreement that you guys would like to change?
Well, that's something we want to discuss as a board when we go back, and come up, that's why we like to see what the town, and there's no secrets here. We're gonna come up and give you all our money that we
I
spend
understand.
on and everything. We just
get
want
it.
to see where you're at. We look at it and say, we will try to both reach a compromise and see what we give you and you give, and that's how it was the last time. I think you had the minutes that we were here, says, well, I was there the last time, and now we reach a compromise, and
Yeah, but there's nothing on the minute. I mean, there's nothing about the discussion. Do you know
No,
what I
no,
mean? It's
not,
just
but
the
what that's-
global, there
but
was a
my
discussion.
point was
that's it.
that we didn't get this done on one meeting.
Oh, it's not going to.
So-
But I think the point is
We
is that
won't
it.
tonight either. We're clearing some of the hurdles that got us here, okay, by having this public meeting, okay? That's number one. I think our protection, your protection is vitally important in this Sue Happy society.
I tell you what, then why don't we just sit down, and with our attorney, we just sit down, figure out what route we want to take, what we're going to do, and what we want to see in.
I think
Well,
that,
the hope was though is that we could have those kind of like discussions of looking at that because obviously there's got to be a sharing of information before we can reach those agreements.
Exactly.
And that's
Same
going to
thing
be,
for us.
yeah, it's going to be like your DZ's contract. You know, what are those? How does that
We
work?
have everything on file, like everything will be there with the with this health department thing, with this.
Yeah, but it's just so that then it's
insurance.
seeing what those expenses are and all of that, and then likewise, it's gonna, the water bills, the electric, you know, like I said, what your maintenance are, all those things, because until all that can be exchanged, it's not where we can put, where they can come to a determination that I can draft something to put out to you to then go back and discuss and come back with a counter. It's going to be far
But I
more
think
sharing
the
of that
main structure,
beforehand.
the main part of the contract is, it'll be up for discussion on how many years is the contract going to be? That's gonna be a discussion, 10, 15, whatever. And I know you said your statement, it's not gonna go past this much.
Correct.
That's fine. But that's a discussion that we need to have on how many years we expect and we want as a league.
agreed.
The control of the fields and how we use it and when we use it, being able to lock up those fields like we do now and be able to rent the fields out to either make extra money for the league or just for some special function. And I think the rest of the stuff is all just dollars and cents on who's gonna cover everything else.
That's the majority of it, but you guys have to keep one thing in mind, it's very important. It is a public park.
I would never said that, that's
Okay.
why, but
No
there's
one has
ability
total
to lease
autonomy.
Property, right?
Okay?
Park
That's,
board
that's, that's what I'm saying. So you have to, we have to.
Totally get that, though.
Okay, but that's just how it is. So your schedule's important, liability issues are important. These are some of the things that we think that if we iron them out, or at least have them in writing, we have no questions or concerns in the event something happens, okay? And we all know at some point in time, something's gonna happen, because that's just how it goes, okay? Yeah, to get a little bit more field specific, to talk about 50-50 partners with boys for a couple of them fields, or however you got, there again, that would be great wordage in the contract, so that boys can't come back and say, hey, wait a minute, we don't like that, we want to change it. No, it's here, this.
Boys are different. We
No,
don't
no,
even
but
have-
if you're sharing T-ball fields,
No, I'm not even concerned about that. That's with the boys
town
and our main concern is the 4 fields.
Gotcha.
That's a big investment right there. But when I forgot, I'm sorry, what's your name?
Nicole Bennett.
What's your last name?
Bennett.
Miss Bennett, when she brought up about the other 2 fields, it's a good idea to do that.
well, we just want it clean enough so that we can understand it, okay? Like I said, I don't see this as being a big problem. I just think, long as we're going to have to reinstate it, and you made the point, and you're 100% correct, boys baseball took your basic lease agreement, scratched out girls, put in boys, and basically submitted it and said, here it is. Well, there's a little bit of nuances there that
They
happen.
added a few more little tricks and trades, but.
Right, and but to think that 5 years from now, this won't be a complete travel program, I think that would be dreaming.
Right.
It's coming, okay?
Well, not in our St. John Girls Softball, because that's in our
Well,
bylaws
you-
and our
You can control it,
Constitution.
you can control it for a while, but pretty soon numbers bear it out, okay?
Well, the numbers that we've seen, if history repeats itself, is a lot of those folks that end up going travel end up coming back because it's not what they thought it was cracked up to be.
Correct.
And so we
And-
tried to service the 300 little Susies, not the 30.
And that's why we want you guys.
Which is help create a staple from the other towns, because they did try and do that and they're failing.
Again, I keep bringing this up. I've been doing this for 21 years with the softball league, and that's something that I've been battling since the beginning. Everybody always wants to start travel. I said, we're not travel. We're a rec ball league, a non-for-profit organization, rec ball, for girls that are 3 to 4 years old, all the way to adults, for town girls, not for 5% of girls that want to go travel. We're not travel. We're a town ball. There's travel ball leagues. You want to go to travel, but we are town ball.
So the rumors about the league wanting to form one under the umbrella of softball is not something your board is discussing?
No, absolutely not.
No, hold on.
Well, trying to travel ball league, absolutely not.
So what we're trying next year is under 10 years, a separate entity. We're going to try to do what we consider light travel, which is that the girls have to play spring and fall ball with us in order to do this. They can't
And
just
that's
come.
sea level. That's
It's
sea
sea
level.
level.
And that's what we compete in town ball. So when you're in NSA sea level, that's town ball, rec ball. That's our all-star team. So travel is pretty much A and B level.
Right.
So,
But it would be girls who have played, the requirement is they would play spring and fall.
they're playing in our league.
So
and
they're not all of a
usually
sudden
part of
coming
our-
from-
Our all-star
That's what
league.
ruins it. They just come from everywhere and they dominate, and the little Susie's like, I don't want to play. I'm not
But you're
good.
calling that a separate entity, though.
Well, not a separate entity. It's just,
Like, when you
let's
say
just
separate
call
entity,
it
I go
like
legal.
all-star.
Like All-Stars, we're not going to commingle the funds. So any dollars that we have it for registration, we're not going to commingle them.
Okay,
We're gonna keep
but
those
it's
completely
still
separate.
under your girls
Special
softball.
entity.
It's not a special, it's
I'm
not a
sorry, it's
separate
still
legal
under a
entity.
501c.
It is under a 501c.
It is
a separate
Still under our
entity?
insurance. It's still under everything.
It's we went and set up a different DBA with the bank to keep the funds separate.
But only with the bank. It's not,
Right.
was it done legally? Do you know? At the, like.
Still would be under your same liability
It is.
insurance?
Correct.
That's a different question, though. The question I'm getting at is the legal status with the
Okay.
state.
Right, and that's something that they're looking at to try to start to have, pretty much what it is the All-Star girls, town All-Star, continuing to play and keeping their skills up and ready to go into the spring ball, which doesn't guarantee them to be on All-Stars, so there's still tryouts, so some of those can get out. But this is something new that they're looking at, that we're looking at other towns that they're all-star teams are still playing in these C-level or round-robin type tournaments.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm not in any way suggesting it's included or excluded. I'm just trying to understand the
right.
makings
No,
of
we
it.
simply set up a separate bank account under the same entity, St.
Okay.
John Girls Softball League.
Just the doing business as
Just-
for banking purposes, not.
Just so if the funds weren't getting commingled with normal rec ball.
Okay. But when you say they've got to play fall and spring, then they try out for this travel
Yes,
team.
yeah, they have to be town ball girls to play in this.
And you're taking the
level.
best ones that are coming out of that
Trying
versus little Janie who comes from the next town over who wants to play. She
Not
doesn't
allowed
get to try out and play.
Not allowed to try out.
She's not allowed to trap.
Got it. So it really is.
What about
It's an
St. John
extension of.
Township
it's
kids?
an
That's what it
extension
is.
of-
When
It
we're
was a
done
way
in
to-
fall
Yeah,
ball,
that's what I'm saying. I don't care what you call it. I want
Outside
to find
the-
out what it is,
the,
and then that's.
internal
The town of
tournament.
St. John, the St. John
December.
Township, the
Starting
Hanover
this year.
Township
Yeah,
kids.
it was a way for us to appease the
Yeah,
parents.
well,
that
that's
really, why don't you try out?
unincorporated,
Fine, we'll
so
do a
it's
couple,
pretty much
2-3
like either
tournaments
St.
a
John
year with
Township.
girls that
Some
already
come-
play with us.
I don't know how many
There's your
people come
travel.
from Hanover
Now,
Township,
What do you call
but,
them?
St. John
More,
Girls Softball League.
more than you
Same
think,
thing.
because if we move south, it's all Hanover, okay?
Yes.
As,
yeah, but
as
if you
we
move
annex.
south, you'll be an incorporated. I'm a Crown Point mailing address.
Right.
I'm not
No,
from
but I'm
Crown
just
Point.
saying-
I live in St. John. I'm incorporated in St. John.
I live on 102nd and I'm in Hanover.
Yeah, but you're still.
Every field out there's in
Right, the
Hanover.
That's right,
400
all
the
the fields
400
are
the
in
400
Hanover.
homes are in Hanover.
Yeah, but see, okay, so did you know Heartland Park has a Dyer mailing address?
That's
It's St.
correct.
John.
That's correct.
You know what I'm saying? It's
But
St.
no,
John.
no, all I'm saying is, I think part of your provisions, how you guys want to move forward is talk about what you're willing to do with the Hanover Township kids, okay? Talk about what you're willing to do with the St. John Township kids, like the
But it's not township though. It's
The
I don't
enclave is
understand.
within the parameters of St. John, but guess what? That's not St. John. That's St. John Township.
Cheryl's in St. John Township.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Well, I don't know where you're going with this.
Because we have to be specific when you talk about the town, we're talking about
But
town
St.
kids.
John, the town of St. John, some of it is in Hanover Township.
And some of it's St. John Township.
Yeah.
But some
it's
of that
the
is-
town of St. John.
Right.
Yeah, but I have a son that lives in the enclave. He does not live in the town of St. John. He lives in St. John
He's an
Township.
unincorporated.
Okay, that's what you're saying, unincorporated.
Correct.
So he's unincorporated, right.
Correct.
Because the township can overlap
Is-
the town, but it's unincorporated.
My grandkids play in your leagues,
Right.
okay? So they're allowed to play in them leagues. That's
No,
not
we
the-
have kids from Dyer that
Yeah,
come.
right. That's my point.
And remember, like I said the last time, we have, because we're such a good league, other people leave and say, I want to play for St. John. But that's a small portion.
I
It's going to
understand.
happen, and we're not going to deny certain kids.
Not
especially,
asking you to.
You know, so you're going to have a small portion that are from other towns, part of the St. John Girls Softball League. But the majority, the 95, 98% of it is town girls.
10 years from now, if we annex at the rate we're going and the property that if you look at the future annexation, it's all south. Okay? We would love, as a Parks Department, to be able to acquire some of that property to build yet another complex because it's needed. Okay? Yeah, I mean, this is a part of our goal. I think if that happened, let's say within 10 years, then you guys would want to come back and go, whoa, now we got more fields, we got this, now the lease that we currently have is probably not good for anybody. I mean, because you'll want to expand, we'll want to expand. So, I mean, this is part of the reason why
I
I
agree
talk
with
about
you.
a shorter, because it's changing so quickly.
But there's always a clause in there that, in every contract that we can go up for renegotiation,
Absolutely.
pull out if anything happens, you know, I mean.
I just want you guys to understand where we're coming from, okay? And like I said, it's not,
What's your requirement to play? When we're talking about unincorporated, in
There is-
town,
there-
in Dyer, I mean,
So
what's the
anybody,
requirement?
anybody can sign up for St. John Girls Softball. And that's why when majority of the girls, because it's St. John, I would say 90% of, 99% of the girls that come here, especially when they're young, come to St. John. You may get a parent or a coach that doesn't get along with this coach or doesn't like the league and screw you, I'm going to Cherville. Bye, go to Cherville. Cherville does the same thing.
Right.
We get sometimes people, I don't like Cherville, but coming to St. John. That's a small percentage, but we're open to everyone. There's no restriction.
There's no residency, there's no.
There is for board, because what we're doing is that we don't want,
We've had
like St. John Girls Softball, let's say the executive board of the board, we're St. John Girls Softball, but now parents that came in from all over, you're from Lowell, you're from East Chicago, you're from Hammond, you're not even St. John residents, you're running our board. So we do have proposals that the board, executive board, and members, have to be St. John residents.
How many people do you have on your board?
Oh, have to look at it. The executive board is the president, vice president, secretary, UIC, and
Fields.
and the
Field maintenance.
it's a field maintenance
Yeah.
person. Then you have your commissioners, 8U commissioners. I mean T-ball, 8U, 10U, 12U, 14U, 16, 18U. Then adult. So you're already at what?
Equipment manager.
All,
12.
do they all sit on the board?
Yes. There's a board and an executive board.
Gotcha.
So board members and then executive board members.
And all of those have to be St. John Town residents.
Well, we're saying right now the
executive
executive board has to be St. John town members. The rest of it, we pretty much decide as a board, because honestly, it is very hard to get volunteers. If I have a mom from Sherrill that came here and she's, hey, I will help out in whatever, can you?
You're not gonna tell her no.
Would,
No,
would,
no, so we'll say, yeah.
Is that-
But the executive board, any executive board, everybody wants to be on that executive board.
is it,
Control the league.
is it at all possible when we're going through the details of this new agreement that potentially a representative from the Parks and Recreation could sit on that board?
Yep, and that's what we had. We had, what did I say? What's his name that I just said?
Chip.
No, the Chip. Guy. Chip, yeah, Chip and Kale. They both showed up to our meeting, and that's what we expect. They both showed up to the meeting. We discussed everything that we wanted, and of course, what we want, and we meet halfway. And that's how it worked out, and that's how eventually everybody agreed upon it, and then was brought before a public meeting, voted on it.
I do have a question. Does the park make any money off of your program? Do
No.
you guys lease anything? So we have all of these kids coming in, paying whatever they pay, and nobody's making any money off of this.
It comes to our non-for-profit organization
Right.
that is used to upkeep our fields,
Right.
to pay
Other than
for
that,
tournaments, to
nobody,
pay.
we aren't making any money off of this at all.
Say, no,
No.
not the town.
We're
we're
actually-
not-
It's currently- it's
The
actually
town
costing
is
us
not, but yeah.
Okay, I do have a problem with this. As we know,
that's why we're here.
But that's why we're a not-for-profit organization. I don't think anybody's here to make a profit for our kids to be involved in football and baseball.
But the problem is the town is
And I
not
just
going
said this,
to
and I'll say it again.
operate in the negative in that situation.
I'll
Well,
wait
if
till
the
he's
town
done.
tried to do it, which what they're trying to do, they're gonna be spending $300,000-$400,000 a year to try to run a baseball program.
Well, no, that's
You-
not what,
you don't
no,
have-
hold,
you don't have
Mike,
the
that's not,
manpower to do
that's
these
not at
fields.
all what I'm
That
sitting
is
here.
that is part of where this is going. I know that, I'm not an idiot.
It,
Nor are we.
I
Yeah.
am not, hold on, because this is important, because this is something that we have to put into the details of this. We as a park, and we've discussed this, we are not looking to take over the league. I want that to be clear. We're not looking to take over the league. We're not looking to run the league. I still expect you guys to hopefully run the league as well and as efficiently as you have been. What I have been saying this whole time is it would be nice if you guys could take on the gas and electric. That would be nice. Hold on. It would be nice if, like Barb was saying, if we don't come up in the red in this situation. So if that means we keep the electric, and let's say we just charge $5 a head for each one of your athletes, and we use that as money towards the electric, money towards the water, and we keep that cost.
How about you get the cost first, then we'll talk about it?
Huh?
How about you get the cost first, and then let's talk about it?
I understand that.
We're not
That's-
talking about anything right now.
I agree.
All right, let's
I
move on,
agree.
please.
But what I am addressing Mike's scenario, because again, I am not looking to take over anything. I can promise, we as a park, we've been talking about it. We're not looking to take over anything. I want to keep this as is. The problem that has been the issue from day one is we are operating in with nothing.
Can we
Look
not
what you're
get-
providing.
Right.
But what I'm saying is,
Say, I think that everybody
we are
needs to
not
remember-
operating with, as a man of the law, we are not operating within the law. That is what I am saying.
Again, we're providing.
We're not
something
running illegal.
For the children, and at the same time.
we are
we're a
very
nonprofit
liable.
organization. So they say, our part will be that we'll cover the water and the thing. You guys continue to dump all this money into your fields. We told them we're gonna get a loan out to build, our thing. Don't worry about the permit stuff. That's when it came out. Anything, we won't, not-for-profit, and if you're gonna make our fields better, our community better, this is the least that we can do.
I agree.
And that's,
Our registration is cheaper than every town around.
I
right?
believe
So
that.
We're adding a service to the town, which makes it look good.
Which,
right?
which probably needs to be increased. I'm sorry, I'm looking at this. I work for a non-for-profit in Sherrville and stuff. And part of the non-for-profit, I do get paid $13 an hour, but they do pay me. You know, and we have to struggle too, and this year we had to raise our prices. We teach police, fire, and railroad safety. And I can't see the town necessarily needing to do anything for that ballpark. If need be, then the prices may need to be increased. Because right now, only because we do not have any money coming into this park in tax dollars. None at all. We have technically no money coming in. If they do not sell another house in the town of St. John, we have no money to run the park programs, period. So that is how I am looking at this. I'm a figure person, okay? And I'm looking at the fact that, you know, it sounds great, and I commend you for giving something to women, you know, to young girls, so that they actually have something to do. But nor do I think it's fair, since we have nothing, that we need to spend really any money for this project to go on.
well, you gotta understand the money that, the large amount of money that is being spent is by this league, keeping up the fields, keeping up the maintenance, keeping up, the building, and continuing to invest with the lights, with just recently.
Equipment,
the towns-
tractors.
Nobody's questioning that. Nobody's questioning. Nobody's questioning that.
But you are,
And
because
the
when you said you're in
town, and
the
the
red.
town, and the town, or not the town, but the park, where we get it. And
I'm
we
not-
understand the struggle that the
How many
town-
girls
or the
play?
board has to go.
400.
Put
About 400, they said.
300-400, yeah.
I don't think anybody's trying to question what you guys are putting into, and we want to keep that. What we are questioning is what we are putting, what Barb is questioning is what we are putting into it and not getting back from it. That's the
Getting
only
back
thing that
is
we're
the
questioning.
upkeep of the field,
No, but
the
if I
park
can have
beauty,
to-
the service that it's providing for the town girls.
Do we not all agree there's an intrinsic value of having the program for the town?
Absolutely.
Okay, it's
Absolutely.
hard to put a dollar
Absolutely,
amount
but I
on
think
it, right?
that-
100% there
I-
is.
What the
100%.
board is
Hard,
trying to get
100%.
at, I think globally, bluntly, it's 400 kids. I don't know how many of those are non-town residents. And I mean St. John residents. So from a financial position of what the board is taking on, what the town, the board, whatever, I don't care who you want to call them, is taking on and paying with taxpayer dollars to service fields that are exclusively used by 400 kids, let's say 350 of them are residents. That's the balance. That's the accountability, right, is the back and forth. And I think that that's as, when it's addressing this, and it's obviously twofold because you've got the foot, or the baseball side there as well, is the dollars of, you know, where that money's coming from and what's the benefit to the town is if it's not in any way used by the public, it's 400 kids.
A year, times 2 seasons, times 2 leagues,
Right,
times
eventually
20
we're
some
gonna
years.
run out of money.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about past years, we're talking about right now moving
Everybody's
forward.
kids that have
Scraping
came
by
in this program
sometimes.
will be in this
I
program.
understand.
It's a lot more than
Trust
just
me,
400.
But as a board
Trust
member,
me,
you
I
owe
believe
to
that
more
it's a
than 400
not-for-profit
people in the town.
personally.
I don't know your
Blanchard.
name, I'm
Good.
sorry.
Barb.
Barb,
Yes.
I don't know what your involvement in sports has been, right? And we keep talking
Yeah.
as a town, is that we're in the red? From the number I'm hearing, on a high end, $2,000, correct?
Probably
5,000?
A little higher than that. I
Say
mean,
it's five.
Let's
Let's say it's five.
5,000,
5 grand.
Okay?
All right,
I would say.
cool,
yeah.
5 grand, let's say
We
that.
just bought 3 tractors that equal $20,000 that came out of our money. I can't monetize my time and effort, but it will be when you take the town employees that have to drag the fields every night and cut the grass.
That's not been, you've already heard that, that is not the intention. So you're
No,
going down,
that's not
you're
it.
going
But
down a
when she
road
said
that's
she's in
a
the
dead
red,
end.
If that's what
No,
they
no,
want to
but they're
take over,
looking at how
you're
much can
going.
we pitch in
That's
to pay
right.
for
That's-
the lights and for the
That
walls.
has to be a value
I think
add.
So looking at it as a
small, very-
budget.
That's a small amount of money.
It is. It is a small amount of
But
money.
we're investing, and it's like, all right, give us a dollar amount. We may,
Well, hey.
I'm not saying we are, but we may say, you know what, for the sake of argument, fine,
Here,
we'll cover
take
that.
it, here's your 5 grand
Here,
here.
and then
So
you
are you,
invest
so am I
compared to
hearing then
everything that
that
we're
other
doing.
a
than,
$500,000 in the red.
if I heard you earlier, the discussion was weeknights and games are on Saturdays and then a couple tournaments a year.
Yeah.
So theoretically, all of the other times that those fields are available for
The
rental
fields
by the town.
once our season starts, they're full. They're full all the way from the beginning, all the way, then when the season is over, then it's all-star practice, then our adult league, that's St. John Girls Softball.
Yep, I'm with
League,
you.
have their season, then we go into fall ball, that ends just recently, last week. So really, now the fields are open.
No, I
Maybe
gotcha.
during the day, there'll be some when there's no school, but,
That's what I'm saying, is
if
that
you're
you said
talking
that-
for the town, that's how we communicate with the schedule, and we're saying, hey, the town wants to do a 4th of July, big bash, movie at the night. Even if there's something scheduled, you know what? Because we all want the best for the town and for the kids. I agree. We'll see if we can move that game over to this date, and because we'll tell them, hey, the town wants to do a movie night here. I think that's great.
And then we'll promote it, too.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like, no, it's ours, we lease this, and nobody can use it. I mean, that's not our intention. It's working together. We're all live here in St. John, and that's why I came here. I love this town. My kids grew up here and been involved in the softball league till 29, 27 years old.
And for those kids that aren't a part of the town, these little girls, wouldn't you say, Nicole, that there's also an intrinsic value that may attract other families to this town because their kids were able to participate in the town, they enjoyed it?
Oh, sure, there's no doubt about it.
So
No
you
doubt
talk-
about it.
I
I'm
mean-
just looking at it, though, as the accountability for tax dollars. Because if the land in these parks are used and they're closed off to everybody else, that's kind of the discussion of,
Which we can,
You're
though.
talking
We
about-
can lease.
but you're
and we're
talking-
paying for it, and we're investing in it, right? We can lease.
Well-
It's legal to lease.
under the current agreement, you can
Oh,
rent
no,
a
no, no,
field
forget
for
the current
years.
agreement, but we can't, starting fresh new, the park board can lease this property.
Okay, when you say "we," I was trying to differentiate who you were talking about. If you're saying
St. John
softball,
Girls Softball.
well, that's one of the discussions. That's one of the things that is kind of on the table is if you're using it on weeknights for practices, games on Saturday, other than a few tournaments during the season, that the fields are available during the day, the fields are available on Sundays for potentially that as being a
So-
lease
so
or
then-
a rental
then-
option, a field rental
Right.
option.
I don't know, I'm kind of.
'Cause that would generate then money.
Taking away from the current lease, taking away from our fuel usage, because we do use it a lot. So if the town.
I'm
is
just going off what
concerned
you
that
said
it
initially, what
doesn't
you use
leave-
it.
If the town or the park board is saying it doesn't leave us anything, any time space to do anything inside the fields, because really that's all it is. You're talking about going inside the fenced-in area. If that's the case, then, okay, yeah, we need to have a discussion, because because everything else is open. So if you're talking, we want access in, we want to do something in one of the infields. Why? But sure, I think it's a great, okay, movie night. Oh, that's a great idea. We'll move this game over to here. We don't want to be left with, okay, we have it this time and you guys have it this time. Well, our season starts from the beginning to the very end, nonstop, with tournaments, with round robins, with practices alone, rainouts, makeouts. If there's a rainout, we're making it up next Sunday. Hey, the town was thinking, or the park board was thinking of doing something that day. All right, we'll move it to the other week.
I think you're absolutely right. I 100% agree with that. That's what needs to be in the agreement, though. That's what needs to be dealt out within the agreement. I 100% agree with you, and I agree. I don't think anybody disagrees with that.
So those two softball fields that are the t-ball fields, those two that are not fenced in and stuff like that. So I mean, right?
Five
So
in the T-ball.
We maintain
Five
them,
in
but there's no
the-
fences on them.
Yeah.
You may
We
want to
maintain them just
So,
because we
so,
want to
so all
look
the
good in our
fencing and
T-ball
everything,
places.
the boys and the girls, the one, the T-ball, the smaller one that's right next to one of our fenced-in field, we put in all the money into it. The
yeah.
Field 5 by the playground, boys and girls
combo stuff
combined
in there and stuff.
made that happen. 'Cause we-
And there's other people that use it. I mean, I see other people that.
There's a lot of
open
people-
and
There's
stuff
a
like
lot of people that
yeah.
use it, and if, as long as we don't have a game, there's just not a big deal. It's not one of those, hey, get off our fields, or you have to give us a donation.
And that's on your
It's not a-
right. And that's on your schedule.
Right,
That's
it'll be on the
schedule,
schedule. It'll be on the schedule.
T-ball field, yeah. No, I mean, we don't get a lot right now. We don't get a whole lot of people asking to use fields. When we do,
You know where you get a lot? It's gonna be a lot of travel. Travel
Oh, yeah,
organizations
yeah.
struggle
Oh,
for
they're
fields.
looking for
And they're
everything,
their
so.
own entity.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we're just,
Yeah.
you know,
But see,
Right, yeah, right.
this is part of the same discussion I had before. This is where we, as a board, want some sort of say in how that happens, okay? We don't want that on you guys, okay? Well, hey, I can make a few bucks. I'm gonna let Tri-Town Travel have it for 4 nights or 4 days or whatever. And here, that's where we would like to have that conversation where you come to us and say, hey, we're not using it for these days or whatever. We have people that are interested in renting. Is it okay? Are you good with that? And we'll come back to you. Do they have the documentation? Who's responsible? You know, are they gonna walk over and turn the lights on or shut the lights off? We've had a problem with that. I'm not gonna lie to you, okay? There's a curfew, wait a minute.
I've been woken up, you
There's
guys
a
call me
curfew.
when you're working, your lights are on, I had to drive all the way down there to the point where I hit a key.
Right.
Try to tell some of the St. John officers, the key is over here, can you please shut them off for me? It
There-
happens. You're gonna
There's a
have to explain.
curfew, and the curfew's there for a reason, and I live close enough that I can see the lights,
Right.
okay? So, I mean, I can
Oh,
tell
no,
you.
they get left on. Sometimes they forget and they
I
just
go to
walk
work
out.
in the
They
middle
don't
of the
realize they
night,
left
and I
lights
can
on.
tell you, as I'm driving that way, it's still 2 o'clock in the morning, and there's times where them lights, and I'm not saying it's softball, I'm not saying it's baseball,
Well, it
but
could
they're
be
on.
softball at times. I know, I've been called.
They're separate. They're completely separate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The boys have a timer on theirs.
Right.
Yeah, with them.
But I mean, you don't have access to each other's.
No, we're all separate.
Right.
We don't
And-
even, to be honest, like, it's so far separate, like, I don't even know a name over there. We don't ever, I couldn't tell you a name besides that one gentleman here. That's it.
Yeah.
think
You just have that one, it's
If
just
you-
that one
if you-
switch,
if you have
right? You gotta
traveling-
manually turn them on and off.
Manual.
Traveling
There's
teams, because I've been
400
associated
Yeah.
with
I wanna wrap this up,
So
okay?
just, so when we do get a few calls that come in, like I said, we've probably had a handful of teams that ask. I've been right now, I send them usually over to Larimer Park.
Right.
That's where I send them off now and stuff like that,
Well,
but,
if they want to use our fields of what has been done, to say, here's the information, you need to call St. John Girls Softball. Because, you know, I know you're saying the lease is not valid, but as for now, it's under good faith.
Correct.
We're hoping to still run the league the way we're running it now until we can fix things. But the way it's been done, if they contact the park board, they will pass the number on to when I was the president, they'll, or if we had other persons, vice president, whoever we gave the list of numbers. Then they'll call us. I'm sorry this field is being used at this time. How about Sunday? Sunday is open for an hour, so we'll charge you this much to use it. Excellent. Then someone will be there to make sure, because we don't give them our code, to use the bases, pitching machine, whatever, all our equipment. Boom, they pay, we deposit into our
Right.
account.
but if we didn't say like, okay, call softball, we could say those other two, I'm talking about the other two T-ball fields now and stuff like that.
You'll have the schedule, so whatever.
Well, yeah, I have a schedule, and we could just say, based off whatever you send and stuff, just, yeah, technically it's
Yeah.
open.
It's on our
Those two
website.
fields,
It's
there's
been on
nothing
our
on that.
website.
Well, yeah.
Our
yeah.
schedule's
And
always
no, and when people have called, like I said, I've been referring everyone. They've been technically renting out Larimer Park, which is
So, but,
somewhat close
so
by and
the
stuff.
field
but-
5 and T-ball field, it's just pretty much, isn't it just first come, first serve? Whoever shows up on that field is using it. Or
Well,
you're looking
it's
at
first
it, right?
come. Well, even at Larimer Park, it's first come first serve unless it's rented out. I mean, people
Right,
will
gotcha.
use it and stuff like
Right.
that. So I'm saying it could be. I mean, that if, that probably could be an option and stuff as far as we could refer them. Obviously, that way or looking at the schedule and say, hey, this is not a fenced-in field or anything like that. But Larimer Park's not even a fenced-in field.
I think moving forward, here's what I'd like to do, and you guys react to this. I'd like our legal department to look over what we have, kind of change some of the wording, add what we think needs to be added, okay? I think you guys should probably do the same. And if there's some things that you feel are negotiable, let us know. If there's some things that you don't feel are negotiable, because these are, priorities to you, then that's fine too. And then we can have a conversation again before we hammer out this deal, okay?
agree, yeah.
But I mean, at least we have a starting point. We now have a little bit of idea what you guys are looking for. You have a little bit of an idea where we think we need to be. And I think we can probably compromise without any problem, okay? But I just want everybody to be upfront, open. I don't want any backdoor deals or anything like that that makes it look like we're in someone else's favor here, there, or whatever, and that's why we're even holding these two meetings separate, because boys baseball is boys baseball.
That's right.
Girls softball.
And we have our
is
ducks
girls.
in a row, so.
Right. Well, you know what, you
Ready
do.
for that.
And, you know, I, after having a conversation with Ryan, he was convinced that, you know, your agreement was good. And I'm like, yeah, I think it probably is in theory, but here's what happened that nobody was aware of, us included, that it wasn't done properly. Okay? This is part of that procedure. Anyone else have any points that they'd like to make before I close this?
If I can just add something,
Absolutely.
just so you understand, this is not the first agreement in this town that this has happened in. Over the course of the last 4 years since we've represented the town, this is a dime a dozen.
Sounds like a town problem to me.
Ding, 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 you're exactly right.
it
So
is.
that's why I want you to
Town problem.
understand, this is not a target there.
I know
The
where
amount
you're
of
going at. You're
contracts that we
absolutely
have
right.
We
reviewed.
have to solve it is the
I
problem.
know. we're
In
just giving
fact,
our time.
we've
Last
taken
point.
two of these
She's still
cases,
talking.
we've taken two cases that have had nothing to do with this to the Court of Appeals on this exact issue. Because it's not trying to hurt anybody, harm a program, a builder, developer, I don't care what it is. It's following the law and doing it right.
But as
That
you,
protects everybody.
but
so-
you know, as you could probably understand, all of us in this room, anytime any form of government says, "Hey, we're here to help," right? We kind of know what that's like. I don't care how low
Well,
or how high it goes, right?
Like I said,
Sorry, man.
But look at us, but look
but
at
I
us.
said
Do
this
we look
before then,
Present
you know
company
what?
excluded, right?
Then blame it on the lawyers, because that's what we have alerted to with so many of these things, and then it's been going back through and re-establishing things properly. And in the process, cleaning up the things that then provide protection for everybody. I got to tell you, when I read this agreement, and Eric, please jump in here if you disagree with me. If something happened on one of these fields, it is, let's go the horrible, right? You have a coach that does something inappropriate with a child, whatever. There's the liability that is not protected, or parties that are not protected in this, of the, just the loosey-goosey terms of the protections there, let alone what property, where at? Is it in the shed? Is it inside a fence? Is it in a concession stand? Is it in the parking lot? None of that is, and it's therefore not protecting
There's
the
no
town.
indemnity clause in there or anything?
There's no what?
There's
Indemnity clause?
yes, there is a hold harmless.
There's a hold harmless, but the properties aren't identified. So if there's not anything, you know, that is saying, and we're, you know, getting into all these other areas and all of that, there's just so many things that cause issue there. So it's for protection of the town, this board, you know, your board, your official members, all of those things. So it's, I would just ask you to approach it that way, and I understand what you're saying completely, and, you know, I see Sheriff laughing over there as well at the government coming in to help you, but believe it or not, it doesn't always have to be right as being that adverse. It's like, just, let's get it right. And you can still hit on the
Gentlemen, you got
lawyers.
any questions you want to ask us?
No, sir.
I think that we go that route as what the town is expecting and what we'll get in our meeting on, you know, getting all the expenses that we put in yearly. But see, it's, you say that one thing, how we're all just trying to live in one happy, you know, like one big happy family, but then, you know, you hear certain things, well, we want this, is now you're asking a lot from a non-for-profit organization that's doing a lot, investing a lot. Well, and don't get me wrong, but I understand your point, like, we're not making any money here. I get it, but we're investing a lot of money, preventing the park board from spending a lot of money and the upkeeps and everything else that's going on in the town. And at the end of the day, it's about the kids in this town and what we're providing that benefits both. So we're hoping that we can fix whatever the issue is with the contract or the lease, and hopefully reach a mutual agreement that doesn't hurt us, the league.
And it should not, but it shouldn't hurt us either. It needs to be amicable for everyone, okay? And I think that's where we're headed, okay?
Can I throw something out to you for consideration?
Sure.
One of the things that we have looked at is, which is why, as I referenced earlier when Patrick was asking about what contract, I had provided the board a draft of what is used in Crown Point. Because Crown Point's teams have exclusive, my understanding is Cherville does much of the same situation, that they give their fields or give their town baseball and softball first option. And then they set up a very strict rental program for the times when it's not being used, and actually lock in. So it's not just willy-nilly, somebody pops in and says, hey, I want to use it, but it's those other travel teams, it's those other places that are then charged, not some courtesy little nominal fee. And I don't know, what do you guys normally charge?
We're charging
somebody?
what Sherfield charges.
What are you
That's where we
charging?
got our numbers. 65,
like
70-some dollars.
Hour?
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
for
field, but
about
then,
2 hours, an hour, or something like that.
but then we
Yeah,
upped
I
it.
think
We
that's-
sure, but the last time I looked at it, that's what I know when we
Yeah,
did
that's cheap.
that.
It's very cheap. It wasn't a way for us to make money. It was a way
No,
just
but
to
my
recoup.
point is it can be. That can offset costs.
But there's also a lot of other ramifications that come along with that too.
Well, from my understanding, if it's monitored closely, because then you have accountability. You know, that's what I'm saying. It's not willy-nilly, and I'm just putting this out there as a consideration because it's one of the considerations, obviously, that I've raised with the town of beneficial to everybody. And that's where I say it's not willy-nilly renting it to the whatever little club. It's having a set schedule, and then the conversations I've had with Alex Kutnowski is their attorney from Crown Point. They don't have issues because that.
But the league is ran by the city. It's not, it's
Yeah,
not
for
the
Crown
city-
Point.
The city of Crown Point.
Correct.
Yeah, he's running the whole league, everything.
They are, but they give exclusive to the softball and baseball.
No, it's the city. The city runs it. It's the city
I understand.
softball.
They get their schedules. They
Right.
do it with the boards. I've had lengthy conversations with him about this. I got their contract. And then they have their schedule of when they're there. And then the other stuff of who runs the other things is, not really the issue for this. I mean, that's incorporated in that. If it's done separately, it doesn't matter. I'm talking about the field usage. And then once they have those schedules and it is set up specifically for softball and baseball, then the other times they're renting out to those other organizations. And they're locked in on set times and dates so that then if they screw up the fields, they're paying for them. It's not where you don't know who did it or who didn't do whatever. And as Alex has expressed, they don't have issues because those teams, as you said, because fields are coveted, right? They want to rent again the next year. So they don't mess it
Part of that
up.
is also the city's running that, period.
Do you know how much
City
it costs?
So,
the
but I'm-
city
I'm-
is running the rental program.
But the city,
No,
the
the city.
softball
so
and
they
baseball, they're not
disbanded. There is
paying
no
field
Crown
maintenance.
Point Girls Softball League. It's the city. They disband. They
understand.
They no longer exist. So it's.
I don't think you do understand because that's what I kept saying. If the parks.
No, I completely
had to
understand.
Do maintenance.
Because they have
agree.
15, 20 employees that
Yes.
that do those
Yes.
fields.
Correct.
So softball and baseball don't have to rake the fields.
I'm not
They don't have to pay for the
comparing
material.
that to here.
He's talking about the rental.
I'm talking about the rentals. I'm
Well,
talking
that's what I'm
about
saying,
the
that's the
rental.
hard part.
I know, but when you rent
Where
them
another
out like
option would
that,
be-
the fields get tore up, someone has to pay to fix them and put their time in to fix them, and that's where they lean on the town versus us is lean on the board.
And your volunteers.
Tour for
And our
free.
My
volunteers.
understanding from them is
No, I
they don't
understand-
have
I
that
understand
I
where
like
you're
it the
coming
way
from.
it is. I like it the way
'Cause the
that,
town runs
we
it all.
rarely rent them out, but when we do,
You guys are missing the
money's
point.
coming.
I
from
get
the
it. You don't want to hear
We're
it.
fixing and we're investing in the money to keep it going.
I think part of it is
But
we're
I
so
appreciate
My
that-
understanding from Alex is they don't have a problem. So when you're saying who messes
Well,
them
we
up.
don't
and
have a
who-
problem either. We don't have a problem. We
You're
rent
not
out our
renting,
fields.
you're not renting.
No, we do. We do rent every now and then. And when we rent,
Take
know
this
who
as it's
rented
not a
it?
consideration, or it's not something, I just put it out there.
Doesn't sound
But
very
we
appealing.
do. We don't rent as much as like the boys. It's a whole different.
I'm not even talking about the boys. I'm not even,
Right.
I'm talking about an entirely different concept
We
that
do-
actually
we do
puts
rent
money
out
in
our
your
fields.
budget.
We do rent out our fields for, local, we feel it's a decent amount of cost, because we're not there to try to screw anybody. They use the field for an hour or two, or our equipment, our pitching, our bases, whatever. When they're done, we have the money that when we fix up the fields, we break it, we take care of it, we re-chalk it, we do everything. We're fine with it. We're not even complaining about it. We don't have a problem with it. It's fine.
I hear you. It's just, that becomes the question of, and at least moving forward on what the board decides to do about rentals, but I just, putting out those other options that I think you're crossing different comparisons, and I'm just looking at the rental part of it.
I don't think we want to go down an argumentative path at this point.
Absolutely.
No.
Okay,
I agree.
so
That's why I just
would
asked if it was a
suggest that,
consideration.
You know, I think everything, there's been some give and take here. We need to see the proposal.
Correct.
Go from there.
Sounds good.
Like that.
Gentlemen, any other questions? Great, then I
How
will-
soon can this information be exchanged?
You tell us.
You've got to get those from clerk treasurer.
We have a board meeting on next week, Tuesday.
No, it's not until the end of November.
How quick, how we get those?
No, it's around, it's the weekend of the 20th.
Well, we can have a special meeting, right?
We could, yeah.
I could probably finalize some of that by Monday.
You think you could be able to get them from her that quickly?
Yeah. Yeah, I have majority of it, but I just don't have all of it.
Of the new
We're
scope?
not gonna be able to do anything like by Monday, but we'll
No.
get
Okay.
everything.
Even in the next, couple of weeks.
Yeah, how about if we try to get some of these talking points to you, and so that you guys can review them, and at the same time, we can kind of come back and say, hey, this is what, because like I said, there's a few things in my mind that are kind of non-negotiable, and length of contract is one of them, okay? Only because I see the change. I've been here 20 years. I've watched the change. I've lived the change, okay? So I don't want that to bite us down the road because we locked into a certain way of doing things, only to find out that we're another third bigger, or we've annexed more property, or we've done this, or we've done that, and now we go, okay, now we gotta do this. I don't wanna do this again. I really don't. I would just like to be able to have a lease that everyone is happy with, that we can just say, okay, it renews in 10 years, we revisit it, you're good, we're good, whoever the board is at that particular time on either side, move forward. And if there's a problem, then we change it then. But that's for another day. So, any other questions, concerns?
I just think you need to set some deadlines. We need to set some
Deadline
agreements of
for,
exchanging of financials
okay,
of the things we talked about, because otherwise, I think the objective here is right, to keep things moving, because
okay.
you guys have things in place for season, and
We don't meet till the end of the month either.
Okay.
We could probably have another study session, but I'm not gonna lie to you, just getting this one was a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, because of the holiday, and I'd really like to not get in between the holidays, but I see it as a necessity.
Yeah.
So we just have to try to figure it out. We'll try to work out some of them dates and give you guys some options for that.
but I think even just to put out a date, if everybody's agreeable on exchanging the financials, that doesn't
Okay.
take a meeting.
No.
If you're thinking 2 weeks,
Oh, no, we'll talk to John, but probably a week. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
he can maybe do it
can we
tomorrow. I
have
just wanna speak on his
something,
behalf.
let's see, today's the 2nd, the 10th is next week Friday, is that a
that's
possibility?
more than fair.
Perfect.
Done.
perfect. Does that give you enough
By
time?
the 10th?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Because it just
that's
keeps, it
good.
just keeps everything moving, right?
And
To
then,
be able to,
can you guys also get us the cost that you guys incur by the 10th too?
I think
that's
so.
good for everybody with them, they could get them from the clerk treasurer.
And then, is that too soon for us to request you just propose the language to us too?
I think we need to see the numbers.
Okay.
Well, let me phrase that. I think they need to see the numbers, because I've got to then be able to get direction from them of what to do. That's gonna require
Correct.
some meeting, that's gonna require a meeting.
Then we're gonna come up with our proposal.
10th.
Right, and I would love to have you guys come up with your own talking points. If there's something that you think, like I said before, that you need to make sure that you're protected on, okay? So that there's no question that you don't go, oh man, we didn't think about that.
And not to put it on your backs, but if you did, if that can happen sooner for you, because that would, because obviously they've got to be in session to be able to have the discussions, it might alleviate another meeting,
Correct.
because if you do have those things that are critical to you, I
think we-
think I've got several of them,
I
but,
think we knew when we got started down this path, that it wasn't gonna be solved
right.
quickly, because we're dealing with different entities, and like I said, you guys are different, and I do not want to make this a lump sum. This is how it's going to be. Take it or leave it. That's not how we're gonna do this. We're gonna try to do this amicably.
When's the meeting?
And we all volunteer for this
Eighth.
stuff?
Eighth?
Yes,
28th.
and we all volunteer for this stuff.
Yeah. So the next park board meeting is the 28th. So the hope would be to exchange those financials, like Dave's saying, by the 10th, and then obviously for them to be able to talk about that in a meeting, and then give me direction from there on drafting something. So unless it's calling a special meeting, it won't happen before then.
Yeah, the schedule's pretty full.
Yeah.
Does
Between now and
anybody
then.
have a survey of what's built out there?
as in civil engineering?
When you guys built
The
three-
shed, the concession stand and the sheds?
I mean, do you have like an as-built of what the girls control out there at the?
Yeah, well, yeah, what I marked down on the paper there,
Just his great drawing that he wrote on my drawing.
Yeah.
This is the current as-built we have.
The Lake County Survey.
Yes, exactly. But do you have something that's a really good question.
You could ask.
If
This is
it
before my
might have
time,
been in
but-
your plans, it might have been, yeah, for whatever, if they wouldn't get back and surveyed after the fact, but they probably didn't because they weren't trying to do it, right, for taxing purposes or
No, it
for-
wasn't, and all that, we didn't apply for anything, we were
Yeah,
exempt from doing all that.
but it's
so-
still, it might have been, even if it was just the contractor, that it might have been loose, but I don't know. Yeah, like you said, it was all before, so maybe just to see, because that,
That needs to be identified.
absolutely. There's one way or the other, we need something, even if it's taking and blowing up and enhancing this, because again, that then it's putting those parameters, or I shouldn't say parameters, putting those, identifying what the exact premises are, and then what, right, where the
agree.
lines are, especially when you're overlapping, as you talked about, the things between baseball and softball.
Great. Anybody got anything else? I want to make sure that no one can say that we didn't give you the proper time to speak your mind.
No, we appreciate it.
No,
Thank you.
I appreciate you guys coming. I will entertain a motion to adjourn